Hello guys, my name is Landon and today we're going to go over the uses of interfaces in C#. Oftentimes in our games, we have a multitude of animals. For this example, we have the type of fish and raccoon. Now, in our game, it is very important for us to determine whether they have legs. Now, each creature we have needs to have this function to determine if it has legs. It can quickly get complex, for example, if we have to group all of our fish in an array and all of our raccoons in a separate array and check from each array whether they have legs. This, for each type we add, adds more and more complexity to our code base. Wouldn't it be nice if we could stop worrying about whether it's a fish or a raccoon and simply whether they have legs? This is where interfaces come into work. In our example, we'll call it iAnimal, since all of our animals will need to define whether they have legs. So instead of defining this function in fish or raccoon, we'll define it in iAnimal. Therefore, we can simply have one array of all animals of all types in our game in one simple, concise array and check from there. So let's get started in implementing this. I've gone ahead and created a console application in Visual Studio. In our example, let's create our interface. Let's call it iAnimal as we decided earlier. Let's get rid of the plethora of using statements that Visual Studio annoyingly always includes. In iAnimal, according to our diagram, we have a function has legs. Let's define this as a boolean. Now that we've defined our interface, let's create our animal types. Let's create a class called fish and a class raccoon. In each of our classes of animals, they need to implement the interface iAnimal. You'll notice that as soon as we do this, we get a compiler error. Fish does not implement the interface member. This is because interfaces are a contract in our code. By implementing iAnimal, we are telling our program that fish must have the traits of an animal. In this case, it must be able to tell us whether it has legs. So let's go ahead and do that. Notice that I include the public access modifier. This is because since we are broadcasting to the world that this is a fish and has legs, it only makes sense that we make this publicly available. In our case, we'll simply return false, since fish do not have legs. In our raccoon, we'll do the exact same. Let's save some time. Now that we have our two animals defined, let's see how we can use them. Instead of earlier in our example of having an array of raccoons and having an array of fish, let's simply have an array of animals. Let's create it size 2, since we'll only be adding our fish and raccoon. Let's go ahead and create them. Instead of italicizing our array there, we'll do it in a simpler method of providing fish and raccoon at the italicization. Now, let's loop over all of our animals. So instead of worrying about whether they're fish or raccoons, we can just call them animal. And then simply put, let's print out whether this animal has legs. Then, let's stop our application from closing. If we run this, our expected behavior is fish would return false and raccoon would be true. Let's test it out. We've made the simple mistake of forgetting to actually change our implementation in our class. As we can see here, we can now treat both fish and raccoon exactly the same and extract or give data to them without having to worry about their type. Thank you for viewing today. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned. Have a great day.